I'm here with Ocean Robbins of the Food Revolution Network. And Ocean, thanks for joining me today. It's good to see you.
Hey, it's good to see you too, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
So we had you on, I can't remember when that was. I think maybe a year ago or so. And you
Yeah.
talked about your business and the mission that you have. It's a very mission-driven business. Could you just give us a little the short synopsis of what you guys do over at Food
Sure.
Revolution?
So I founded Food Revolution Network in 2012 with my dad and colleague, best-selling author John Robbins, and our mission is healthy, ethical, and sustainable food for all. We want to change the way the world eats. And we're trying to address the obesity crisis and the healthcare crisis and the chronic disease epidemic. And we're also trying to help people bring their food choices into alignment with their values for their lives as well as for their planet to address climate change and water and resources and biodiversity, because it turns out that when you eat in a more sustainable way, you can make a powerful difference for all life on Earth. So we organize online courses and summits and a blog and website and lots of resources, and we launch films, and we have a list of about 700,000 active members in our audience right now. And it's just so exciting because I get to wake up every day and help people heal their lives and feel better and reverse diseases, and we hear about that pretty much every day. And I get to work with a team of about 30 amazing change makers on our staff, all built over the last decade. And a huge kudos to you, Jeff, because, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but your body of work is part of what created the groundwork out of which this all was born. Because really for us, changing the way the world eats is a mission, it's a service. And so learning how to build a business out of that is so powerful, so that we can not just, my dad was a best-selling author, but he didn't know how to build an audience and an email list. Now we've done that, and now we're able to reach so many more people.
The level that you are all over there at Food Revolution Network, the level you guys are playing at, the level of impact is breathtaking. The number of people that go through your summits each year is just, how many folks went through your last summit?
We had about 300,000 people participate in our actual summit, the Food Revolution Summit most recently. And it's a rush, I'll tell you. It's an amazing feeling. Think about that like a stadium. And now think about, like 4 or 5 stadiums completely full of people who are all learning together how to get healthy and how to change their lives for the better. It's an amazing feeling.
It's crazy. And so Ocean's been in my mastermind for, I think, about 7 years now. And the reason we wanted to do this interview and bring this to you is we wanted to share what happened based on a hot seat that we had just this past June. And we had a meeting here in Durango, Colorado at my secret headquarters. Well, the meeting wasn't there, but the dinners and parties were at my secret headquarters. We had this meeting in Durango, Colorado, just 6 months ago. And we did a hot seat, which isn't unusual in masterminds. And that's where Ocean stood in front of the room, came to the room with a particular question, and then everyone brainstorms for maybe 25 or 30 minutes on that. And then can you talk a little bit about that process and what came out?
I mean, I never want to rest on my laurels. We want to change the way the world eats, and that's a big mission. So I really wanted feedback on what's next and how do we sustainably and effectively scale our impact. And interestingly, we're reaching a large number of people, but how many more people can we reach if we can seed the food revolution to more people who can become ambassadors and leaders of this movement, right? Like Jeff, you've sold what, $100 million worth of products in your company, which is amazing, but your real impact isn't measured in that. It's measured in all the launches and all the products that have come out and the billions of dollars in sales of service, of value that's been added to people's lives through all of the people you've inspired. And so I think similarly, the notion was, okay, great being a one-to-many organization, right? That's creating websites and blogs and courses and resources. But what would it take to help some of those many become their own brand ambassadors for this message in their own way? And that's going to take a deeper investment in some individuals. But the notion is, over the last decade, have we learned some stuff about nutrition, about behavior change, and about marketing? Can we share that in a way that will really empower other people to own it in their own lives and become ambassadors for this movement themselves? And the answer is heck yes. So I think that was kind of the challenge that emerged to me in there, was build a higher end product, that's the language, right, in marketing, and offer a deeper dive to help people do this themselves. You know, obviously they're not going to be Ocean Robbins, they're going to be themselves. They're only them in the world, right? So that was the challenge. And for me, it was a real reframe, because we've always built very low price point products. You know, essentially our highest product we've ever sold is about $250. I mean, there's a few things that are a little higher, but for the most part, and most of our sales are $100 and under. And that's been part of our brand, honestly, that we offer a lot of free resources, and you shouldn't have to be rich to be a food revolutionary. But obviously, creating a program like this is going to be labor intensive. It's going to take time and energy and staff resources that are significant. And so that means we're going to have to charge a heck of a lot more. And so we ended up looking at that a lot and looking at pricing in the industry and what we could afford to do, and coming to the conclusion that we had to charge. I mean, we could easily be charging $20,000 for something like that, right? But we ended up, we wanted to keep it as accessible as possible. So we ended up at about $5,000 price point, which is 20 times higher than anything we've sold before. It's a whole other mentality, right? But that enables us to invest in like dedicating resources, team members, to make this happen. And it's kind of a dream come true, to be honest. I think for the last decade, I've imagined what would it take to create some kind of a program, but really that hot seat was the kick in the butt, so to speak, that propelled us into doing this. And here we are. It hasn't taken that long. And this is another fascinating thing. You know, it doesn't have to take forever to build a major new product when you already own the material. Like, we know how to do this, right? We've been doing it. Now we just got to help other people learn to do what we've developed, and also bring in the guest faculty for the gaps we have. So like Jeff, you're part of our faculty, and Stu McLaren, who's an expert on memberships, and Ryan Levesque talking about the Ask model and how to do quiz funnels. And so we have a lot of the experts from that mastermind, actually. In fact, a tremendous amount of our faculty is coming from the Platinum Plus community, because these folks are all motivated and they're all inspired to be a part of it. And that's also really been an incredible pleasure. So I get to introduce a lot of my mentors and inspirations who you've assembled. And now we get to bring them forward to our audience and share some of their wisdom to help our audience grow their businesses and their impact. It's a dream come true, really. And it was kind of born that day. It was very much born that day.
So Oshin, it is, and it's just, I mean, you know, I'm a big fan of masterminds, and the power of a mastermind and having a group of amazing people focused on you and your business is absolutely breathtaking. And also, it can be, there's a lot, you know, in that 25 or 30 minutes where you were in front of the room, there were a lot of ideas coming at you. And that's just the way every hot seat is.
Sure.
And not every idea is great, or even if they're great, not every idea is the right fit for the current moment. So I know you have lots and lots and lots of ideas. I know I personally gave you several ideas, and out of that, you had to step back and you had to like listen to the recording. I'm sure you went through the recording several times.
I got it transcribed.
had the recording transcribed. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about masterminds. But I know, like, one of the things you did, you looked at several different paths you could go in creating this product. But I think one place you started was you looked at the marketplace opportunity. And can you talk about that a little bit?
I do, and I will. And I want to say for everybody watching, this is a really important thing to know. You know, an entrepreneur solves problems, right? So understanding what the problems are and what problems are emergent is really important. So we've got a few problems that are big in our world right now. 2/3 of the US population is overweight or obese. The United States is now spending 20% of our entire gross domestic product on what we call healthcare, which is really disease symptom management. 80% of that is on treating chronic illness, most of which, 80 to 90% of which, is preventable with diet and lifestyle. So we've got more and more of us living sick and suffering and dying too young from diseases like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and dementia, all of which are profoundly responsive to diet and lifestyle. So we can do better, but we're killing ourselves with our knives and forks. We're digging our own graves. And so this is a problem, right? And more people are fed up with feeling like crap, and they want to feel better. And some of them are losing hope that they can, but they want to if they could, right? Problem number two, we've got our resource consumption overshoot. Every day on this planet, we have less ancient forests, we have less clean water, we have a more unstable climate, we have more CO2 in the atmosphere, we have more pollution. And what we're increasingly realizing is that the food on our plates is one of the central driving forces behind this. So more and more people are wanting to go plant-based in particular and eat more organic and eat more sustainable and local, because they want to walk lighter on the earth and they want to be on the right side of history. And especially a lot of young people are going vegan for this reason, right? So these forces are converging and causing a lot of people to rethink their diets and their lifestyles. And there's a huge upswell of people who are going plant-based. In fact, in the last decade, which is also coincidentally since we founded Food Revolution Network, we've seen a 30-fold increase in the number of Americans who identify as vegan. It's gone from a tiny fringe thing to much more increasingly mainstream, and there's all these vegan products on the marketplace. The next layer of the problem is that a lot of people are going plant-based but don't know how to do it. They don't know how to stick with it, or they don't know how to do it right. And so they get they may not get heart disease, they may get another problem now, because they're still deficient in critical nutrients like B12 or vitamin K2 or calcium or magnesium or zinc or iron, or they're not getting some of the nutrients they need, or they're scared about that. So the marketplace opportunity here that I think is vast is to help walk people through implementing healthier lifestyle choices and do it well in a way that serves the planet and serves their own health long term. And so a Food Revolution Network, of course, we're trying to solve that on a mass level, but a lot of people need a hand to hold. They need someone who gets them on a more personal level. They need to be able to talk about their problems. They need to talk about how to get their spouse to come along, or their kids, or how to deal with those late night binges they get. They need to know how to deal with their concerning lab results, get some feedback or some coaching on what to do. And, doctors don't know. Like, the average physician in all their years of medical school gets less than 20 hours of coursework in nutrition, most of which is just focusing on the symptoms of disease from specific nutrients that are missing, but not actually looking at what to eat or how to live. So somebody who can walk somebody through how to eat better and live better can make a powerful difference in their life. And a lot of folks don't know how to respond as well to an article they read on a blog or even a book they read as a person who's actually there with them. So we're trying to create an opportunity for folks to learn how they can be a part of this revolution by absolutely knowing the science of nutrition, but also knowing the science of behavior change and coaching, and third, marketing, so they can get clients and spread the word. So those are the three pillars that we're putting forth in our program. And our fundamental goal is to create a whole cadre of ambassadors for the Food Revolution movement who can spread the word and make a good living doing it. I think there's an incredible marketplace opportunity. After all, if 20% of our GDP is going to disease symptom management, we don't need to be a very big slice of that to go towards prevention and helping people be healthy, to have $1 trillion available for this movement, right? And I think the market is vast and the opportunity is immense.
And so, thank you for that. So you're intimately familiar with this market. It's what you live and breathe. And,
yeah.
And it's like, there's people that need, you use the word ambassadors, they're ambassadors for you, but they're coaches. They're going to be coaches for the clients. And so you've built out this program to help folks coach to your work, so people can change their life, so they can reverse heart disease, so they can lose weight, so they can build muscle, so they can help with digestive issues. So what's it like to go, if we say most of your products, this is going to be at $5,000 that you're going to be offering this program to, are you going to be certifying coaches?
So we'll be certifying them if they pass an exam. So everybody who joins in, you get there's a midterm exam, there's quizzes along the way just to track your learning, and then there's a final exam. And you can take the exam multiple times. But the main point is that we just want to make sure that you've been paying attention and learning, right? It's not super complicated, but 70% success rate on the answers is good enough. But people who pass that exam then will be certified by Food Revolution Network to have participated and to have been certified to have completed the program. And then they can put that on their resume and they can use that in future jobs and so forth. And, you know, FRN isn't an official academically credentialed organization, but we're pretty well known at this point. And so I think that's going to carry some weight. And it's also because you get the actual skills.
Yep. And of course, I mean, you've got, I think you said 700,000 people on your email list. So this body of work is clearly resonating with a lot of people. So can you talk a little bit about going from selling at $100, mostly at $100 at the high end, your highest offer about $250, and now what that's like? It's a bit of a journey to 20x your price or 50x the $100 price. Right. To go to a $5,000 offer. Let's start with you. What's that? Is that it's psychologically, emotionally? What's that journey like?
Well, I had to just organize around this is for a much smaller group of people, right? Because, but you also don't need a lot of people to have a program work with those kinds of numbers. So, you know, the basis of this is that we're wanting to reach people who want to themselves have a career change, you know, or expansion of their career path in this area. And of course, that's not everybody. A lot of people are just thinking about their own health, and that's who we've historically reached. But we figured, well, there's some portion of our audience that wants to be leaders in this space. And here's the thing that I think has been a little bit surprising to me, Jeff, is that as I've seen people registering for the program, a lot of them have had their own personal journeys of transformation. Like they've lost a ton of weight, they've reversed a disease, they're feeling so much better, and they want to help other people. And I guess that didn't shock me, but it still really moves me every time. Because what I find is that naturally, this is something about human nature that kind of gives me hope for humanity, is that when people have a transformation in their life, they typically want to share it with other people. I mean, you built a business that was successful, you built a model that worked, and then you wanted to help other people have that joy, to be able to provide for their families, to be able to give their gifts in the world. And that's just natural that when something works for you, you tend to want to share it. And whether it's you watch a great movie and you want to tell all your friends, or you have a health breakthrough and you want to help other people who are hurting. And so that, I just love that about people. And I think for Food Revolution Network, it was this realization of, wow, we've had a lot of people who've been touched by our work, and some of them want to touch others, right? And so that's come to pass, and it's really beautiful. But yeah, to offer a much higher price is a little scary. And of course, there's always the people who are like, I wish it didn't cost so much, and they're a little mad, like, don't you got plenty of money? And I'm like, well, I mean, we're trying to build a business that changes the world. We have 30 staff, you know, obviously there's resources involved in our products. People can tell that we're mission driven, but there's still some people who are cranky. And frankly, I think it's because it's hard for them. Like they'd love to be able to pay for it, but a lot of people are hurting financially, and $5,000 is a big investment for most people, and especially in today's economy. And so, you know, we had to recognize, of course, it's not for everybody. And part of the art then is not to sell in a way that shames people or blames people. It's like, you should do this. If you care about the world, or if you care about your health, you will sign up for our thing. No, it's not about that. It's an offer. It's an opportunity. It's not for everybody. And one of the reasons it might not be for some people is because they don't have the financial resources. But we also have to be able to make the case and know it's true that if you take this course and you participate and you engage, you could 50x, 100x your investment. I mean, for somebody who's working with coaching clients, all it takes is 1 or 2 clients to repay that $5,000. You know, what are the odds that you're going to go through a 6-month program like this, learn from people like Jeff Walker and all the other people in our program, and walk through this journey, gain all these skills, and not get at least 1 or 2 clients? You know, pretty low if you participate and engage. So I think the opportunity is immense. And so making that case and really knowing it, and of course, it's not for everybody. And here's the thing, it's not for people who just buy a program and then never tune in again, right? Like, you've got to put in the time. But I think the beauty of it is I'm actually expecting that people are going to be much more deeply invested in this than anything we've ever done before. Like the percentage of people who will actually participate is much higher than with the course where they only pay $100, because that's easy to just sort of keep it in the back pocket. But this is something where there's a deeper investment, and I'm excited to work with people who have more skin in the game, not just because of the financial investment, but because this is their life path we're talking about here.
100%. It strikes me, this is your first, in the marketing world, we call this a dimes to dollars argument or a dimes to dollar sale, where someone spends $5,000 with you and they could easily build a business that makes them 10 times that or 20 times that. And you really haven't been in that world. That's the world I've been in. Spend money with me, learn how to do a launch, and the significance of your investment is just it's a fraction of what you get back. And so you've been in the business of spend a little bit of money and change your life, get better, get healthier, and all that. But it is a little different pivot, but you've clearly just been able to articulate it really well. And yeah, you've gotten that. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Ocean, we're going to flip. If we have great conversations, but we have so much in common in the way we look at the world, but I'm like more the hardcore marketer than you are, even though you're an amazing marketer. But there's so many programs like this, when we look at the level of what you're doing, that are $10,000 programs. I could name 5 of them off the top, just without even thinking that, $10,000 with as a level of care that you've put into it. Mm-hmm. One thing I want to mention is, I'm a faculty, but I'm just a faculty on marketing, and you've got several other members that are faculty on marketing, but your program gives people the marketing, but for building the Food Revolution coaching business. And I hope I'm not misstating anything, but you're also, the bulk of the program is how to actually do the coaching within your frameworks and within your approach. So I just wanted to mention that. I'm not.
Yeah, there's 3 pillars to it. There's nutrition, coaching, and marketing. So you really get this comprehensive, like understanding the science of food and health, and then behavior change. How do you actually help people implement change and encourage intrinsic motivation so that they become the authors rather than, because you don't want to shit on people all day long, right? And the point of a coach is to help people get more of what they want in their life. So how to bring that into this body of work. And then the marketing is how to actually attract clients and make a business out of it or grow a business.
Yeah. So for those of you, the folks watching at home, who maybe you're a solopreneur or you've got like an executive assistant, one person working with you, might not get this, but the folks that are watching that have significant teams, and I know there's a lot of you, who might be wondering, okay, Ocean, you sort of talk through your thought process to get to 20x price, but now you bring it to your team. And I know the way you work, you didn't bring a finished decision to the team, but still, when you have a team of 30, the team has to buy into anything. It's not like you can no one's a dictator. You're in your role or my role. We're not dictators of our teams.
Yeah.
We need our team to buy in. So can you talk a little bit about getting the team to buy in to selling at a 20x price and offering a product that's so much more extensive and intimate for your future clients?
So, Jeff, there's been a little history of me coming to Platinum Plus masterminds and getting great ideas and then coming back, and our team is like, oh boy, watch out. Ocean's got another big idea that's going to create more work, and we've already full. Yes, let's lock that in for 2 years from now, Ocean, because our team's like very practical and they're responsible for certain outcomes, and they don't love having course changed at the last minute, right? So I've learned to talk tentatively and, be thoughtful. But in this case, I didn't know how quickly we'd launch this thing, but this was really an interesting moment because what I found was that our team was excited about it because it turns out we've got a bunch of plant-based coaches on our staff, who have themselves built careers doing this before. And they loved that. And now here they are working for Food Revolution Network, which they also love. But there's kind of this feeling that they've got this skill set in their back pocket that isn't getting tapped. And now suddenly the thought that that could be of service, not just to FRN, but to a whole community, because some of them had to give up their coaching practices in order to work with us, right? So now they're getting to like bring that skill set and help other people. And it's such a value add for their own sense of mission and life purpose that that skill set is a value here to others. So it's actually pretty awesome. And the leader of this program, the program manager, Tracy Garrigan, you know, she spent a decade before she worked with us as a full-time, you know, health and nutrition coach. And so she's just over the moon that now she doesn't have to give, she felt kind of bad. She had to give up all her clients. Now she gets to help so many more people by helping inspire others. So that was actually really heartening. Our team was a big yes to this. And like a really heroic rearranging of priorities and time to make it possible so we could launch this. And that's been pretty inspiring, actually. It's like nothing is so powerful as an idea whose time has come. There are moments in life when you step into a vortex where the universe kind of conspires to make things happen fast. Now, we've all had the other kind of moments too, right? Where despite all your best efforts, nothing goes right and everything falls apart and eventually you give up, right? But there are also moments when forces converge and you're like, yeah, this is obviously meant to be. And the way this program has developed from nothing to something feels like one of those kind of things.
And so we'll wrap this up with one last question. That's it's been 6 months and you are actually, you're rolling it out right now and you've already had people signing up for this. What's the process? What's that been like, bringing it to the world, making this offer to the world, having people respond, having people actually already join the program? What's that been like for you?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, honestly, because we are building the plane while we're flying it, you know, there's the bumps that come with that. So literally, we just put up a sales page on a video and then invite people to send in their deposit. And then we figure out, oh, wait, we should follow up with people because they send in their deposit, then they apply, and then they're told they can submit their tuition here, but not everyone does. So then we have to build a follow-up sequence to like send them emails to remind them. And you know, everybody who clicks on our emails about the program joins what we call the launch list. And then we send them emails about that. But at first we didn't have that figured out at all. So then we had to it took us a couple of months after release to start getting some of that stuff together. And we're only now starting to get a proper campaign in place. And now it's going to be here before you know it. So I'm sure we've left a ton of people out just because we didn't follow up in the best way from a marketing standpoint. But the good news is with any successful venture, you can rinse and repeat. And the next year you can do twice as good a job for half the effort. And, you know, for our inaugural launch, we have so many people on our list who are sort of excited. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit. So we don't have to do as great a job to launch this from a marketing standpoint. I'm sure next year we'll have to do a better job because the most eager people who will just jump on anything have already jumped in. But I think we'll also be able to do a better job with a lot less effort because we kind of figured out a lot of the kinks of just how to structure it. And we're bringing in what we're calling clarity calls just in the last week before the program launches, where some of our team are going to step forward and just jump on the Zoom with people who are interested and want to kind of get more answers about the program and find out if plant-based coaching is a fit for them. And that was something that we just kind of added at the very last minute. And most folks would say, yeah, with a $5,000 offer, you should do that. But we just didn't have the resources, honestly, because this was such a last minute innovation. But then Melinda, who is part of the Platinum Plus community, who's also part of our lead faculty, whose passion is helping coaches make a living and make a difference with coaching, she's jumped in and been huge. And she really was inspiring us. She was like, you've got to offer calls for people who want to learn more. Like, absolutely. So she's kind of mentoring our team on that, which is fun too.
Mm-hmm. So there was like a bunch of in that short answer you just give, there's all kinds of marketing lessons that I want to underline. One is this idea of if you already have an existing audience and you come out with a new offer, especially a new high-end offer, there's going to be some of that quote unquote low-hanging fruit. Some people are just ready to jump in. So it makes those initial sales easier. And you should always sweat the marketing and make sure you do a great job with the marketing. And your first launch for a new high-end offer, it's often going to be more forgiving in that you've got that pent-up demand in your list. And that speaks to building a list, to nurturing that list and keeping that relationship with that list, delivering
Yeah.
value to the list. And then you have this opportunity to roll out something, especially at a higher level. So that's super powerful. The other thing you mentioned was this idea, you're doing a cohort, you're opening it up, you're registering people, then you're going to take them through this training process, which is very significant, but you're going to do it again next year. So everything you're building now, you're going to be able to repeat it. It's an investment in assets that you're going to be able to roll out a year from now. It also builds in a very real deadline, a real world deadline that people have to jump on board right now, unless they want to wait a year. So
Right.
so super, super cool. I'm going to put a link down below if you're interested in this if you want to be a coach, if you want to be a health coach and are looking for an amazing program. Ocean said they're building it while what is it, the phrase you used? You're building it while you learn to fly. Don't let that diminish the experience they have of taking 700,000 people through this journey, or 300,000 people through their summit they do every year. So it's going to be a super pro product, and I'm happy to be part of it. So we'll put a link down below if you want to learn more about it. Ocean, I guess final question. Can you just talk a little bit about the power of the mastermind? Because I'm such an evangelist for people having to get into masterminds.
Yeah, there's nothing like having a group of peers who can hold you accountable, who can help you solve problems, who can help you think things through, and that you can learn from their best insights and breakthroughs. You're always learning. If you're an entrepreneur, every day you're learning new things, testing, trial and error. Why not have the benefit of 30 other people's learnings, 20 other people's learnings, 50 other people's learnings? If a good mastermind cultivates a spirit of generosity, where anytime you learn something, you can't wait to tell your peers about it, right? And the truth is that when you do serve them, they naturally appreciate you, and then they want to serve you. So you can just feel this wave of generosity and peer support that builds out of that. And it's a game changer, because then you're not having to reinvent the wheel. If somebody figures out how to build a wheel, they tell you, and then you can just do it, right? And so you're constantly learning from each other, and the areas to learn from, especially with peers, are almost limitless, right? Like in our case, we're learning about sensitive HR issues. We're learning how to treat our staff well so that our team can bring out their best. We're learning about how to use coaching. We're learning about from other people, right? Breakthroughs in advertising strategy, breakthroughs in social media strategy, breakthroughs in email copy. Every year in our mastermind, Jeff, I deliver a slideshow of split test learnings, because we have such a big audience. We do a ton of split testing. So we share with everyone. And now suddenly there's more, orange buttons on purple backgrounds showing up all over the place, because we've been sharing that one in split test, right? And all sorts of things that you learn that give a 1% uplift here and a 2% uplift there. And then some things give a 50% uplift, big breakthroughs in funnel design and structure. And so we're all learning from each other about what works and how to handle refunds and what are your tech stacks looking like. And now people are talking about artificial intelligence and how does that factor into our business strategy. And so I think that it's just an amazing place. For me, it's a complete game changer to have somebody that can bounce ideas off there. And there's different people that have expertise in different areas and different niches. And some folks are more passionate about tech, and other folks about the human side, and other folks about the marketing, and other folks about food. And so we get all that together, and it's just so powerful. And you've created, in your masterminds, you create this culture of generosity and vulnerability, quite frankly, where you're not all just trying to impress everybody. You're actually being real. And that's where I think the real profound change happens. But masterminds, I'm talking mostly about masterminds of peers who are kind of at high level entrepreneurship. But masterminds of folks who are just starting out or in a local business can be every bit as powerful. And you can send each other referrals and help build each other's brands and give each other credibility. And if it's a bunch of people who are just starting out, being in a peer group can be maybe even more important, because that's its own set of problems and questions and challenges. And often, as smart as Jeff is, he's not going to sit down with you and dive into the intricacies of your business as much as peers can, who can really get to know you over time. And that accountability is just game changing. Because then you also have people who've been tracking you, and they've noticed that you said you were going to do something, and they're like, hey, how did that go? And you think about that, and then you bring to the mastermind, oh, I can't wait to tell them how well that went, or I can't wait to get their feedback. That totally didn't work, you know? And then you learn from that.
Ocean, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks. I'm looking forward to hearing how this launch goes. I'm looking forward to hearing about a year from now about how your first cohort is out there changing the world. Super exciting times. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, everybody who's watching, if you're interested, please check out that link below to check out the Food Revolution Network's first ever certification program, plant-based coaching certification program. It's going to be amazing. And this is the only chance you'll ever have to join in our inaugural cohort. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Ocean.